Guys, and welcome back to Dylan's Little Hobbies. And in today's video, we are going to finally be putting a skimmer on this aquarium. Yes. So I want to actually go in this video throughout the process of me trying to figure out what type of skimmer, or if I even needed a skimmer on this tank in the first place. Before I begin, I want to make this perfectly clear. This is my first saltwater aquarium. Okay, guys? So, anything I say in this video, take it not necessarily as fact. More or less, you should take it as the rambling of a newcomer to the saltwater world, because that's basically what this video is going to be when I talk about skimmers in this aquarium video. So, without further ado, let's begin talking about skimmers. So, I know what you guys are gonna think. You just got the skimmer that went with the tank, right? And actually, no, I actually put a lot more thought into this, probably more thought than I actually needed to be honest with you, but you'll see what I mean. So without further ado, let's begin, and let's just start out with what skimmers actually do. And if you actually need a skimmer, the fact is you don't actually need a skimmer at all, but they are pretty much the best thing you could do. They're granted a luxury item, but kind of a luxury item that everyone can afford. They really, really do work on keeping the water crystal clear and clean for your fish. And it's really important because saltwater fish, I don't care what fish it is, no freshwater fish is as delicate as a saltwater fish. Saltwater fish are just a lot more delicate, so they need water a lot cleaner. With a protein skimmer, you'll be able to keep the water a whole lot cleaner. And that's why you definitely, as a beginner, probably should look into a skimmer. As I did, I am a beginner to the saltwater world, so I definitely knew I wanted to have a skimmer on this tank. But then I actually got into watching BRS, bulk reef supplies videos on skimmers and learning how they work. And if you guys want to really know how skimmers work, and they test a whole bunch of different skimmers as well, please, I'll have a link down in the description below. Go check it out, because trust me, if somehow you found this video and you didn't watch BRS's videos on skimmers, I don't know how you saw this video before you saw theirs, but go check theirs out, because their whole list on skimmers really just helped me understand what skimmers are, how they work, and if you need them or not. And it's actually really interesting. So the way skimmers work is they create foam. So you have a pump that bubbles up, and that bubble connects with the fish waste, the microscopic fish waste in the water, and then it bubbles up over the cup and into over the neck and into the cup, thus producing this ugly, disgusting smelling foam. That stuff is what could have been actually really dirtying your tank, which could have hurt your fish. Luckily, it literally removes that stuff out of the water for you. So yeah, skimmers are really great because of that. But they can also be, of course, kind of expensive. In fact, sometimes they're the most expensive piece of equipment you can have on your tank. So whether or not you actually need one in the beginning or not, I'd say, especially if you're on a budget like I was with this tank, I'd say definitely just get it when you can. what size of skimmer do you want for your tank? So obviously the answer to that would be, okay, I have a 10-gallon tank, right? That means I should have a 10-gallon skimmer. No, you know what? Because the tank is going to get so dirty, I should have a 20-gallon skimmer. Because the thing is, I always double up my filtration on my tanks. And that's kind of just a rule of thumb that I really like for most aquariums, is to double up the filtration of your tank. The tricky part is when it comes to skimmers, from what I understand from BRS, is basically the best type of foam when it comes to skimmers. It basically matters on which type of foam you're kind of looking for. There's a real liquidy kind of stuff, but really the kind of stuff that you want is a nice, thick, dirty foam, because that will take out the most waste. In other words, they don't work as well when they have less amount of nutrition in the water to take out. They don't work as well when they're not producing that thick foam. That thick foam is actually what you want. And simply put, in the beginning, when you first get your fish and the tank doesn't have that high of nutrients, simply put, it's not necessarily going to work properly, and so you kind of don't need it in the beginning of your aquarium. So it is a probably good thing to wait on it a little bit and then purchase it when you can. And that's where I actually had some trouble figuring out what type of skimmer I wanted, because it turns out that a skimmer on a large tank, a large skimmer on a small tank, actually might not produce that type of foam. So I found that really interesting, actually, when I was trying to figure out and trying to research and trying to figure out which skimmer size do I want for my 32 gallon. And really, I was going to go between one of these three skimmers. I was going to go between the one I got and a hang on back one, or one that just sat in the tank. And honestly, I'm glad I actually did a lot of research, because I was actually going to go with the one that hanged on the back, which was actually the biggest skimmer. But it turns out that you actually probably shouldn't oversize your skimmer a lot. So that's what I thought was actually really interesting about the whole thing. Now, if you plan on actually overstocking your aquarium, yeah, you might want to just go with a bigger skimmer. But funny enough, the thing is, I know it's my first tank, and it's just my end goal. I'm not going to get it right away, but my end goal is actually to get seahorses. And seahorses are very, very messy, and thus they actually say, all seahorse keepers say, you should double up your filtration when it comes to seahorse tanks. You should double up your skimmer. So the question really was, should I double up my skimmer and get a skimmer that's much bigger, or should I get one a little smaller that's actually going to work a whole lot better, because it's going to create that type of foam that I'm looking for? And so that was actually kind of a tricky thing to try to figure out, what do I actually want. I guess I should mention this, my tank is also a all-in-one, so a traditional skimmer would not fit on this tank because it is an all-in-one. It does have a small filtration section that of course is going to be perfect for the filtration, but I either needed to buy the skimmer that fits this this filtration compartment, or buy a hang on back, or buy one that just sat inside the tank. And that's what I was trying to decide. Eventually, I decided on the skimmer that's actually made for this tank. So the skimmer that's actually made for this tank, it says it goes up to a 45-gallon aquarium. It's the Fluval PS1 skimmer. almost said filter, PS1 skimmer, and indeed they actually have a smaller skimmer, and I'd say if you're not planning to overstock this tank, the PS1 might actually work better for you, depending on the type of skim you want. But for me, the 45-gallon protein skimmer is going to work fine because, again, I'm going to have, of course, seahorses in this tank, and that's going to create a lot of waste for that skimmer. So that's how I decided on getting my skimmer, and it's really funny that I ended up actually going with the one that just happens to be made for the tank specifically. But the other skimmer that I was going to get was this one, and the reason why I didn't end up going with this one is because, again, I want that thicker foam, and I know that I could probably do that with the seahorses in this tank, but I figured the 45-gallon one, save myself a little bit of money, would be just perfectly fine for this 32-gallon aquarium. But who knows? Let me know down in the comments below if you think I'm just crazy for thinking about this, that I'm overthinking this whole skimmer thing, that I should have just got the protein skimmer for this tank because it's the one that's made for this tank. Let me know down in the comments below if you think I'm just crazy. Come to think of it, I should have also probably talked about the fact that if you do get a smaller skimmer for your tank, you could end up dealing with a lot of overflowing from the skimmer as well. So that was something to, of course, think about when it comes to getting your skimmer as well. I don't know if my skimmer is going to overflow or not once I have the seahorses in there, but I will, of course, eventually do another video when after I do have the seahorses, if my skimmer overflows or not, whether or not I should get a bigger one or not. I will probably do a separate video for that. Yeah, I probably will. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I'm out for now. Bye. Again, let me know down in the comments if you think I'm just crazy for even thinking about all of this in skimmers.